All right, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing time so far. Our next speaker is Karl Rosenblum. He is the head global capacity and risk strategy at Alcon. Please join me in welcoming Karl to our virtual stage.
Hello, good to be here. All right, let's go ahead and start sharing this. All right, I'm excited here today to share Alcon's AI Outlook with you. But first off, you might be unfamiliar with Alcon, so a little bit about it. It is the largest leader in eye care, and we are the largest device company in this business focused on cataract and vitreoretinal equipment and consumables. And on the vision care side, contact lenses, you may have heard of the brands Dailies or Air Optics. And in the dry eye and ocular health space, you might have heard of the brand Sustain. So that's a little bit about Alcon. And then as we dive into the manufacturing area, I wanted to focus in on areas of branding, of the projects that we're doing, and the architecture that we're supporting that with. So branding, it's kind of an unusual start to this discussion, but we have a brand here that we've called FAST, Factory Acceleration with Smart Technologies. And why are we doing this? We're trying to communicate this brand across the organization. It's not just IT or manufacturing. We want to talk to everyone about it. And there's a little bit of a confusion between what's Industry 4.0, what's smart factory, what is this? But it's all under this umbrella that we call FAST. And that's how we want to communicate these types of initiatives. So what, why, and how? What are we doing with FAST? We're trying to use the manufacturing data that we have, and we're really trying to take this data and create insights and make smarter, better, and faster decisions that will help us in the manufacturing realm and for the company. And how are we going to do this? We're going to implement the right strategy and technology to get the right data to the right people at the right time. Beyond that, of course, as we're all familiar with, it's a business driver. Opportunities for OEE improvement and related cost reduction, and then the associated productivity improvement for the whole manufacturing process. And this trickles into the company's bottom line as well. So where are we playing? So I think you're all familiar with these realms, but our plants are exploring OEE, advancing of big data, machine learning, AR and VR, and predictive maintenance type opportunities. Now, if we look at it, here's some particular examples. We have a product called SPEED, which stands for Spontaneous Problem Extraction and Error Diagnostics, using that to try and take advantage of the data and fix problems rapidly. We've rolled it out to several of our platforms, and that's continuing to occur. And then what's it taking advantage of? We're looking at OEE in this example by week, but then we pull it into real-time intelligent OEE that's there on demand. And that's helping us with not only the lines that we have, but the production lines that we're going to be putting into this place in the future so that we can create a faster and faster ramp up curve to provide that capacity. Another example, looking at digital transformation in terms of AR and VR. Here, we're looking at real-time connectivity either with a vendor, or we have research and development sites around the world, and we've also got manufacturing sites that are sort of the intro. They're taking the new technologies and learning how. So being able to port that guidance over real time is valuable, and particularly in a COVID environment, where travel becomes less and less possible, it makes sense to have this sort of remote guidance as we move into manufacturing troubleshooting and installation of new production lines. In another site, we're looking at using business intelligence and advanced analytics for environmental reporting. And then we have several sites that are taking advantage of autonomous forklifts for simple task transporting items. We've also trying to highlight connection between teams. How do we go make sure that our different shifts are up to speed and connected and operating with the same base of knowledge? And then the idea of an engineering community app, again, for completing scope, ideation, other parts, and making sure that we're all connected in that realm. But in a way, and this is what I've seen in the industry, we kind of have things in silos. I call it project whack-a-mole. So you got site A, they've got 5 initiatives, they're doing fast failures, they've knocked out a couple, they've got 3, and they're this company and this manufacturing site and at this manufacturing site. And what's happening is we're not sharing and we're not moving at the same pace. So that kind of leads to what are we going to do with all this data? And here's a little intro slide of the massive amount of data that we're looking at. One of our manufacturing sites, one of our more advanced, highly automated, is producing 1 terabyte of data a day from all the different sensors. That site has storage of about 75 terabytes. So you can see there's not enough storage to maintain all this information. But with compression, we've got 20 to 30 gigabytes and we can optimize. So that's good. But one of the questions I asked was, why are we just compressing the data we have? Why aren't we filtering and removing that data? And the answer was because we don't know yet what data is valuable and what is trash. So we've got to go through this process as we learn and develop what that will look like. So what is this? We now have an infrastructure. We have a common methodology that we're working to pull people through. So on the production line, an edge gateway that's moving forward to publishing, and then to data integration and enrichment, a data historian, and then we actually do data transfer into AWS to store this massive amount of data and to be able to access it. So that's our common infrastructure. But we're also looking at it in terms of how we set up our production. You can see here at the top level, the franchises, the storage information that we have, and then the production lines and the individual modules within those production lines. Well, what we've got is a ISA 95 based model that we are standardizing across the organization. So whether it's legacy platforms or future platforms, we can use the same architecture and support to be able to keep a standard and make it easier. And speaking of easier, the other part is we have a lot of, in a medical device company, a lot of validation work that needs to be done. It's increasingly data validation. By building validation templates through our fast architecture, we're able to incorporate FDA computer system assurance and improve the speed at which that validation work occurs. So we're also very, very interested in language, natural language, and what the possibilities are. So here, let me take a look. Here's an example of what we're looking at and what.
We've entered a world that we call the world of big data. Everything, every single action, every sales moment, all the stats associated with the game. The box score, the line score, the play-by-play. If it's in news, if it's in sports or finance or real estate, to be able to take masses of data and bring it down to the point where we can give you exactly the story that you want, and often the story you need. And so you don't have to know the numbers. In fact, you don't have to know the numbers at all. You don't have to see the numbers at all. All you have to do is listen to the story. That's what narrative science does. Chris Hammond. I'm one of the co-founders and CTO of Narrative Science. Narrative Science is a technology company, and our technology transforms data into stories and insight. We take a language that people are not used to. That is the language of highly structured data, spreadsheets and numbers, and we turn it into narratives, into stories that are really the natural way in which people communicate with each other. There's a really sweet episode of the sitcom The Office where Steve Carell's character, Michael, is given a spreadsheet. And it's not just a single sheet, it's a pile of sheets. And he's sitting there looking at that and has absolutely no idea what those numbers mean.
Why don't you explain this to me like I am an 8-year-old?
All right, well, this is the overall budget for this fiscal year along the x-axis.
Yes.
Right there.
There's the x-axis.
You can see clearly on this page that we have a surplus of $4,300.
Okay.
We have to spend that by the end of the day or it will be deducted from next year's budget.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
And this is actually something that most people in decision making in the world are confronted with. To take that story, to take that little piece of narrative, that little snippet, and instead of having a person do it, have us do it. And when I say us, I mean have our system Quill actually do it, to take a look at that data, figure out what the information is, and present it to you. Its entire job is to humanize data, to be a communication bridge between the numbers and the knowing. With numbers, you have to calculate. With visualizations, you have to interpret. With a narrative, you just have to read. So one of our clients is a large fast food organization. They meter and monitor all the point of sale information for their franchisees. And that includes things like every single item that's been sold, when it was sold, how much it cost, how much it was sold for, what the weather was like, what other stores are in the region, what promotions are going on. All of this information is handed to us. And what Quill does is figure out what the facts are, what's true in this data, fit it into a story structure, and then once all that's done, apply language to it, to figure out how to say it. And at the end of that, we end up with a narrative. How the store is done in the past, how it compares to other stores, and most important, a piece of advice. And on a weekly basis, for every one of these stores, and there are about 14,000 of them, that one piece of advice that says, today you should focus on this item. Today, if you sell 5 more of these, you'll make another $2,000 this month. You'll make another $24,000 this year. And it gets it down to a very specific, very concrete piece of advice where we're not telling them what to do. We're just saying, here's an opportunity. If they had to go and look at the data directly, they would literally have to look at 5, 6, 7 different spreadsheets to figure everything out. Other stores would read the stories for your store and think, I'm not interested in that. But for that store owner, it is the most important story of the day. A lot of the power of this technology is this notion of an audience of one. And so the starting point for us as a company was we actually wrote college baseball stories for the Big Ten Network. There's a company called Game Changer, and they have an iPhone app that allows parents and coaches to score Little League games. And they started handing out data. And last year, of them.
So natural, why is that so interesting? Well, I like the idea of the story of one, but it could be any one. It could be each production line is telling a story, and everything is tailored to each function. Maintenance, what do they need to know to be able to work on the production line? What does the production manager need to see in terms of how output's going and other issues? HSE can be looking for faults or activities on sensors that could talk about a risk. And then quality could be looking at a story that talks about how the product itself is coming off the line and any potential issues. So you really see that this idea is one that we're strongly pursuing because it's very actionable and could relate directly to and incorporate tremendous amounts of data, simplifying it into a story that we can act on. So let's talk a little bit, switching gears, on manufacturing strategy. And I'm going to look at capacity, utilization, and footprints. So we have a tool that allows us to do multi-year forecast and capacity inputs, look at it in terms of the utilization, and create multiple scenarios to act as for impact analysis by volume year or in future years. How does that shift? in terms of where that product is made. And then most importantly, in the top right is a utilization heat map. Here we've got every single product mapped out in terms of what is the demand by year that we need to produce, and also what's the capacity. What you end up with is a utilization heat map. And again, we're taking large amounts of data, all these different products and their time that they're made and the capacity associated with it, and looking for these hot spots. So we're able to dial in, in this year, we have this high utilization, we can act today and do something about it. Switching gears again to QA, big data and analytics. And tool has been in place for a while, but we have something called the Alcon Quality Analytics tool. And this was developed in conjunction with a consulting firm, but it's an Alcon product, but it turned out so well that they're now offering it as an opportunity for other companies. But let me give you an idea through this video of what we are looking at.
For many companies, a quality management review means manually collecting data, creating multi-page presentations, and holding lengthy review meetings. Most of the metrics are backward-looking, focus on compliance and the timely execution of quality activities, and often lag by a couple of months. Managers spend a lot of time interpreting individual metrics, but the big picture and actionable insights aren't easily deciphered. The smart quality approach to managing quality performance allows companies to automatically collect, analyze, and visualize data from all functions along the value chain and at multiple levels. Balance compliance metrics and outcomes with leading indicators such as operational maturity. Assess all metrics against their predefined target values and easily spot any deviations from expected values. Explore the links between individual metrics and take targeted actions to address issues. Automate data gathering to see up-to-date metrics and trends, enabling rapid decision-making and faster improvements. Automating the process can be done quickly. The first step is to design a streamlined and balanced set of metrics and reporting logic, set targets, and define a roll-up methodology. Next, build the data processing engine and connect it to the raw data sources, then create the interactive dashboards with smart visualization. Automated quality performance monitoring allows companies to instantly identify issues, focus on the highest risk areas, immediately take action, and see results, all while reducing cost and minimizing the reporting burden for the organization.
And the last area that I wanted to focus in on was bots in customer service. And even though customer service is not quite manufacturing, it is an input. It is how we get our orders. And you can see the applications for other parts of the organization, including manufacturing. But we've got some of them, and I kind of like the way we did the layout. There's Terry, the bot. I like that they named this. And the problem statement was that they received a tremendous number of email and fax orders, 57,000 a year. But with Terry, the bot, it could pick up the customer orders and process these within 5 minutes with no errors. And the outcome of that was that the projection was Terry was going to eliminate 40% of the manual order volume for the surgical UK team. So quite the success story there. Also, in another example, we've got Nafanya, who's joins Russia customer service. And here, again, 20,000 orders per year, high volume of manual orders, fax and email. And then again, looking at that order processing within 5 minutes, and here it's looking like almost 30% of the manual order volume would be eliminated with using this bot. And then here's a little story of bots in action.
first heard about robot automation when the IT team came to customer service and said, hey, do you have some applications, some processes that your teams do that are pretty transactional and you would like to get them out of, but they're pretty easy steps to follow? And I was like, do we ever? So I got with Jillian Bear at the time, who was my team lead, and started talking to her about this process that we do for 60-day billing for IOLs. And it turned out to be the perfect process for a robot.
After the bot was implemented, my process of 40 hours a month is now down to 5, 6, 7 minutes a month. We do the one spreadsheet, pull in the lenses that are in C2 status. We save them in a spreadsheet. I hit run on the bot. I can go to Starbucks, grab my coffee, come back, and the orders are done. So what took us annually and maybe spent $16,000 a year for 5 coordinators to do this, we're now spending $33 a year to do with the bot running the process.
It's incredible and extremely unexpected, because it just appeared to us to say, hey, we have this ability to be able to go and create a robot that can save you time and give your people that have these incredible abilities back the ability to go be customer facing instead of doing transactional work. And then to be the first ones to be able to do it is fantastic. It's a great legacy to be able to have here.
It's exciting to be a part of the team. I'm the first official botline manager in Alcon.
Being a part of this team is absolutely amazing. It's just incredible that we got to be one of the first teams that got to execute a robot that saves so much time and energy and allows my people, who are very skilled and wonderful customer service people, to be able to get back in front of the customer instead of having to do transactional work.
And so there you got an idea. So that's kind of what I went through here, looking at manufacturing, quality, customer service, the different frameworks that we have for IT and AI and the Industry 4.0, and how we're using it through the whole supply chain. So thank you for listening, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. That was awesome. And I know this virtual audience is giving you a huge virtual round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. For the audience, yes, thank you. For the audience, it's time for you to make your way to your next session. Along the way, make sure you accept your connection request and take some time to check out our amazing exhibits. Thanks so much, and we'll see you around.